Brian Scalabrine, Celtics analyst, NBC Sports Boston, and he was with the Celtics when they won it all in 2008, the White Mamba. And Scalabrine says the Celtics have no excuse not to win a championship this year. He joins us now. But if they don't win the championship, it will be because of what or who, Brian?
I don't know about who, but I'll tell you, if their roller coaster ride, maybe not taking the regular season seriously. I mean, look, right now you look around the NBA and everyone is like flipping a switch. The Lakers flipped a switch. The Golden State Warriors are flipping a switch. Miami Heat flipped the switch. So the Celtics may be playing with fire right there, but like you see them in game one, you realize you guys got to play a lot harder if you're going to win. Then you watch them in the third quarter of game two and you realize what their potential is.
Yeah, they feel like they're not threatening some nights. It's weird to watch a team that's that talented, but then they no-show sometimes.
Yeah.
And why?
I don't think they understand how difficult it is and how hard you have to play. By the way, you could see this if you watch the Knicks play the Miami Heat in game two. It was almost like the Knicks didn't realize, well, Jimmy Butler's not out there. Let's just coast to victory.
Yeah.
It's just not like that. And I think the Miami Heat right now in the playoffs, you look at them, they work every possession. Eric Spoelstra's doing the same thing. That's what it takes to win a championship, even when you have the most talent. So I'm sometimes maybe surprised, maybe it's habits throughout the regular season. We're living in an era where the players don't take the regular season seriously. In the past, the great players have been able to flip a switch. Maybe these guys feel like they could do it. And the Celtics did it from game one to game two. They went to a new level. And everyone will talk about adjustments, Dan. Sometimes it's just playing harder, pressuring the ball, being in people's airspace. That's a big adjustment in the NBA.
And sometimes when the star player's not there, you kind of exhale a little bit. And then Harden goes off. And by the time you realize he's going off, you can't stop him. And you get steamrolled there a little bit. But with Embiid coming back, how surprised were you that he came back and he came back on the road as opposed to staying in Philadelphia? They already got their split.
Sure.
And that's what I thought. Maybe you just keep him in Philly.
Yeah, so Dan, this is the way that I looked at that particular game. And I would guess if I was in the meetings with Doc Rivers, he would say the same thing. So obviously game three is huge, right? You got Embiid hoisting the trophy. On any given night when you're going through a series, like Jimmy Butler taking off game two after one, it's totally fine to get a couple rest days. But Dan, Embiid, if he didn't play last night, he wouldn't have played for 13 days. There's not like, it's not more is better on this one. Okay. Like you're eventually going to have to play through an injury. 2 days is not going to make that big of a difference. So I thought that what Philly got out of that was Embiid got a chance to kind of get his feet underneath him. Yeah. Because you got to expect in game three, Philly crowd, late start, they need this. It's Boston, Philly, hoisting MVP trophies. You don't want Embiid to be coming off of a 13-day layoff. So the Celtics feel good about what they got. They got back on track in game two. But Philly also feels good. We're getting our MVP back. He's going to have his sea legs underneath him, and we're going to have the crowd behind us. And I don't think there's been a game in Philly right now in about 12 days where now all of a sudden, or maybe it's 10, and all of a sudden now that crowd is going to be rabid. So it's going to be a really good game three.
Brian Scalabrine, Celtics analyst, former player, part of the 2008 championship team with the Celtics and the White Mamba. How did you get that nickname?
Stacey King. That's how. He's the analyst for the Chicago Bulls. I made a pair of shoes from Kobe, and I slapped him down on the table, and he started calling me the White Mamba ever since then.
Did Kobe ever talk about that?
So he reached out on Twitter and welcomed me to Twitter, White Mamba. That was only the only stamping of the White Mamba from Kobe.
He gave me an All-Star jersey, and he said to the White Mamba. So
maybe all of us, maybe all white guys are White Mambas.
I think he was complimenting me by calling me that. I didn't, say I'm going to call myself this, but I figured if Kobe co-signed on this or signed off on it, then I was pretty good. But you faced all of these guys, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, Kobe was his shot making ability is off the charts. Like I think it's very similar to what we're seeing right now with the skill level of the player. It was an anomaly back then for a guy, go right, go left, step back right, step back left, finish right, finish left. Like most guys had tendencies to do 5 things. I had a matchup with Kobe one day, so I wanted to watch film, so we have something called Synergy. You can get his last 100 clips. He took 98 different types of shots. Then I asked for another 100 clips, and there was like 74 different types of shots. Like I went into the game like,
but what was the scouting report on Kobe?
There is none. I mean, force him into your help.
No, there had to be.
Yeah. Like you were more dialed into where your help was coming from. Don't let him get to the middle of the floor because we're not going to help you there. You're going to have somebody on the baseline. It's more like that. It wasn't like I'm telling you, I could tell you Tracy McGrady and the hesitation, Vince Carter, Paul Pierce, they all had about 5 or 7 things they did.
What about LeBron? What did you try to get him to do?
Yeah, so LeBron at the back in the day, hesitation right, or when he goes left, he steps back. So you kind of wanted him not to get to his right hand. What made LeBron great back then was his passing, right? And this is all pre-championship LeBron. Like I'm out of the league in 2012. I didn't really play my last couple of years. It was just kind of like the guy on the bench. So like you're not getting into a matchup where I'm not like Paul Pierce that has to guard him, 65 possessions where he's going through, 50 pick and rolls. But they all have like a tendency. But right now, you look at players much more skilled than what we've ever seen, like the Curry effect, the Damian Lillard. I mean, just go Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, a guy that no one even talks about.
Yeah.
Like these guys are so elitely skilled, and they don't have much offensive weakness to their game.
What's it like, though, when you're sitting on the bench, at the end of the bench, and sitting next to you is a civilian? Like some rich guy, and he's sitting right there with you.
So
do you talk to him?
The funniest interaction, I didn't even know who the guy was. We were in the NBA Finals my rookie year, and Brad Pitt was that guy, right? I didn't know it was Brad Pitt. And you think of Brad Pitt, like I'm not dumb. Like Brad Pitt's a great looking guy. Like you see him on the movies, you're like, this guy had long hair, he had a beard. He almost looked like Forrest Gump when he was, running across the country when, he was just all raggedy and he smelled like cigarettes. And I'm like, I tell one of my teammates, like, why the hell they let these guys just sit here like that? And my boy's like, you don't know who that is? I'm like, nah. He's like, that's Brad Pitt. I'm like, Brad Pitt from the movie Seven? He's like, yeah, that guy. I was like, oh.
What was he filming that he looked like that?
I have no idea. Like, he couldn't have looked any worse, put it that way.
I had a bad experience, an embarrassing one at the Lakers game. And I'm walking around, I think I'm a big deal at SportsCenter. I'm walking around, right before the game, all the celebrities. And then I see Justin Timberlake's there and Brad Pitt's there. I go up to Brad Pitt. I said, hey, Brad, I'm Dan Patrick, SportsCenter. He has no idea who I am. Well, I go back and sit down, and Rich Eisen's wife was there next to me. And she goes, hey, you got a booger in your nose. And I go, what? I do? She goes, yeah. I said, oh, my God, I just walked by Brad. So Brad Pitt's sitting down, looking straight up my nose, and he's got to be thinking, that guy had a booger in his nose, man. Yeah.
No matter what, he's not reaching out and shaking your hand.
No.
He's not nice to meet you. He's only thinking about one thing at that
point. Who has more to gain from winning a championship, Steph or LeBron?
I think it's Steph Curry because I think pretty much everyone in the world of basketball had stamped LeBron as the best or the second best. And the jury's still out. Like, not for me. I think Steph Curry's an all-time great. Like,
but is he top 10?
Yeah.
Top 5?
Like, he might be top 5. He might be. Like, if you can get past, like, he's not going to dunk on you. He's not going to do that. But, like he's an assassin out there. He's a killer. Like, he's the
So is Steph above Larry Bird?
Yeah, because the longevity. Yeah,
okay.
It's going to get me in trouble.
Yes, it is.
I know. Like, if Larry would have played, like, if he would have kept on going late then, Larry Bird would be better. But, like, longevity does matter. It's like it's the reason why LeBron, his numbers are going to be off the chart. So, and I know like Steph Curry's like resting, those deprivation tanks, and he's got body work people and all that. And back in the day, they drank a 6-pack and smoked a cigarette, like that was their recovery. So I get all that, but you can't look at body of work when you're talking about the all-time greats and not factor in like the longevity of it.
Well, that's why what LeBron has done, that he's got the greatest resume in NBA history.
No question.
Right? He does.
Question.
He might not be the greatest player. Could Steph Curry move past LeBron, in your opinion?
Yeah, with the championship.
This championship, you would put him ahead of LeBron on the all-time list.
I don't know about that. That'd be really that's. But Steph's story, if they win again this year, Dan, this story's not over.
Oh, I know. And then he would say, "Look, I won another title without Durant." Because we were like, "Oh, well, Durant came in, he won a couple of titles. Well, he won without him."
I mean, I don't. Anybody that uses that as an argument for LeBron. LeBron joined D Wade. Like I don't. You can't. If you have a problem with the super team, you can't pick and choose which super team you have a problem with. You can't just say like I'm okay with what LeBron did, but I'm not okay with what Steph did. Like you can't do that. You got to just have a problem with all super teams, and that's fine. That's your opinion. But no, I mean. Steph's story isn't done. We don't know. He's not slowing down. We don't know what it's going to end like. But his numbers could be not what LeBron's are. But, I mean, if he wins another championship, he has more championships. You can make the argument he's done it with less. I think the LeBron championship in Cleveland was an all-time great championship. Like Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, like that was really impressive for LeBron. Down 3-1, the Warriors, 73-9 team. That sort of stamped the whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't really take a lot of stock into the bubble championship. I think there's some variability into that.
Yeah, but everybody was in the bubble, so it was a neutral site.
I know, but when you're older and you get 4 months off going into it, you don't have to travel and stuff like that. I think you have a little bit of an advantage. Listen, I get it. I get it. I just don't. I count it. I just don't count it as an all-time difficult one. But I'm curious.
Well, nobody does that to Jordan when Jordan beat the Lakers and Magic didn't play, got injured there. Nobody goes, yeah, but you weren't facing, a quality Laker team.
They did go on the road and beat the Lakers, and that's like beating Magic Johnson's a big deal.
Yeah, but Magic was injured.
How injured was he?
Didn't he have like the thigh injury there?
Oh, I don't. I mean, it was in 91. I don't.
But it feels like
that.
we do this to LeBron.
Well, the fact that Michael never lost after he started winning, every season he started from 1990.
Okay, but what happened about the 9 years where he didn't get to the NBA Finals?
I mean, that's you factor that in, but I'm not holding LeBron's losses against him.
But I think people do, though, Brian. I think they're like, yeah, but he lost. And I'm going, are you going to hold that against Tom Brady, that he lost? You got to the Super Bowl. You got to an NBA Finals. That's not a negative if you lost.
Dan, if LeBron were to win this one, would you think that would be official stamped? I think he would be. Like, I don't.
What do you mean?
Opinion,
he would be the greatest player of all time?
Yeah. My opinion would be.
It won't happen, though, Brian, because people are holding on to Michael Jordan's memories for dear life. They will not allow LeBron.
Good.
They will. Wow.
I mean,
this is why you're an analyst. Michael Jordan
Dan,
is pretty good.
Dan.
Do you want to retract the Larry Bird, Steph Curry thing?
That's funny that you said that. That's funny that you said that. I will say this. To retract that, I would say no one in the NBA had 3 seasons like Larry Bird. So I would say the back-to-back-to-back MVPs, you can argue you'll take those 3 seasons over anybody else in the history of the league. But longevity does matter. So I can't retract the longevity statement. I mean, like, Bill Walton. Why don't we say Bill Walton's an all-time great?
He's not. I love him. I love Bill.
That one season he had was amazing.
He was, that's one season. He was amazing. He was.
Longevity does matter.
Yes,
though,
it does.
In the NBA. So
good luck with that Bird quote there in Boston.
Thanks, Dan.
All right. Thank you.
Make me famous.
Thank you.
Infamous.
Infamous. That's Brian Scalabrine, a fellow White Mamba.